Hello and welcome to the second day of 100 Days of Code with Leon Anderson.
Hello, hello.
Hey, so this was your second day of coding. And how did it go? What did you learn?
Well, today unfortunately wasn't Sunday, so I didn't have the full day for coding, but I had like 45 minutes or a bit more after work to learn the Vim editor. and I managed to finish like 60% or 65% maybe of the tutor, of the Vim tutor. And yeah, it's a very interesting way of maneuvering through the editor, like the Vim. How's it called? I don't know the like the exact terms for it, but Vim has a special way to move through the program without using the mouse. It's a bit weird to use like 4 letters H, J, K, and L that are next to each other as arrow keys. That's a bit confusing when the up and down keys are next to each other. But all in all, the commands inside are fun, and it's just a fun learning experience to magically move around in the text with interesting commands. Yeah.
Nice. Yesterday you shared that the first editor that you tried out was VS Code. So what made you think about switching and what were your reasons for now going for Vim and giving Vim a try?
Well, actually, without knowing it or like having it really consciously, I had the thought during using VS Code yesterday that it's quite annoying to use the mouse. And I already tried to look for shortcuts to go to the end of the line and to what was it? Yeah, so when I typed in one of the HTML elements, like for example header h1, and then I pressed tab, then it got autofilled by VS Code, and the cursor was in between the brackets. So at the point where I should, just like it's right now in the screen that we can see here, and yes, exactly like now, and it was a bit annoying to put text that was already written in the editor inside. So I found a shortcut to highlight from in between the brackets to the end of the line. So I have the ending, like the dash li, for example. I think the shortcut was shift and then end, and then I cut it. I used Control X to cut it and then put it behind what I wanted to put in between the brackets, and stuff like that. Like this was just an example. I already tried yesterday to find as many shortcuts to use the mouse least possible, and then yesterday, after the session, you mentioned that, right as I'm now at the beginning of coding, I have the choice to go with VS Code or to learn Vim, which is a way to an editor that is focused on using only the keyboard. Also open source, which I really like. And I was actually pretty excited to work on to do the Vim tutor thing right after work. Like the whole day during work, I was excited to try that out. I have to say that I actually feel some in my left in my right wrist. I actually feel like the starting of tendonitis from using the arrow keys from the Vim thing. Maybe I overused it in the beginning, because later it didn't grow bigger during the usage, but like overusing the arrow keys like HJKL, left, down, up, right. And maybe I have to find a way to better position my hand and stuff. And but overall, most of the commands were fun to type, and it was just a nice flow experience. Some
Yeah,
learning
definitely
stuff.
be careful, because every programmer's worst nightmare is having tendonitis. So be
Yeah.
careful, listen to your body, and if you feel like that's a deal breaker for you, then just go back to VS Code and use the mouth. But you brought up some very important points. I think two things we can underline from today's day, which was, the first point is that if someone is also starting out their journey for 100 days of code, you want to think about early what tools you want to use, because there are some tools that you just get better with over time, and some things just go into your muscle memory, into your subconscious mind, and it just does all the things for you that it needs to do for you. And Vim is one of those tools. So it's definitely good to decide early which editor you'd like to use, or at least explore, and then make your decision. And I think the second thing is, yesterday, in terms of just quantity, you completely knocked it out of the park, right? Because you just, you coded all day, you did all of the HTML stuff in one day, and maybe some people are viewing this someday, because I don't think there are any live views yet. But maybe someday people are viewing this and are like, oh man, this guy just in one day did all of HTML. Like, how can I ever become a coder if I did this much? But the important thing is, it doesn't matter how much you do in one day. It only matters that you show up each day and do a little bit. And today you only did 45 minutes, but that's already enough to get you used to the habit of programming, and that's already enough to take you further. So yeah, I think those are the two main lessons of today. Pick your tools wisely and try stuff out to see what you like, and then just go with what you like. And just put in whatever time you have, I know some person who learned a new language by just putting in 30 minutes per day. But he did that for over 500 days in a row, and by the end of that 500 days, he knew Spanish. So showing up daily is what's important. Is there anything else you want to add? Anything you want to share? Anything on your mind?
Yeah, first of all, I definitely agree with your point. I would subscribe to that 100%. And another thing I noticed today during work was that I'm starting to see websites a little bit different than than before doing the HTML stuff. So like using websites, I had already in mind what it looks like behind the inspector, behind the inspect tab or inspect function in the browser, and what all the that the browser is basically getting like an instruction how to build those elements together to make it look a certain way, to make it look as the website looks. I found the the metaphor that Code Steel used, that the browser basically gets an IKEA furniture instruction.
That's a great metaphor.
and I kind of viewed it. I had like the metaphor in my mind. I kind of saw in my mind's eye how there's like this gibberish of code coming into the browser, and the browser is then building it all up into a nice facade. I found that to be an interesting perceptual experience.
Yes, and next time when you go to IKEA, maybe you'll get Li elements instead of bolts and boards and stuff. Yeah, totally. It's a great metaphor, and I think it wasn't viewable in the screen share, but if you have access to the browser and to the inspect tab, you can have the website say whatever you want. You can see, oh, now I went back and now it's gone again. But take a look at this, right? It says 10x dev, which is what you're going to become and what people are going to become who watch this. But you can make it say like, hey, I don't know, follow 10x dev on X, it's called nowadays, right? And boom, it is reflected here. And that is the magic of HTML and the inspect tab. Yeah, nice. I love that epiphany, and I love the metaphor. Shout out to Code Steel, who is an absolute G, who absolutely knows how to teach and how to teach beginners.
Yes, and who could really embrace that confidently.
100%. Yeah, he's a great teacher.
Yes.
Nice. Anything else you want to share before we end this?
I think for today that's it.
Nice, quick session. So tune in today to keep up with the progress. And yeah, the key takeaways from today are, it doesn't matter how much time you put in, just put in time consistently. And the second takeaway is some decisions you want to make early. And don't worry if you think, oh, but I don't know which decisions are even important for me, because if you follow this series, you will come across all the important decisions and you can make them at the same time. So today, think about what editor do you want to use. Maybe you want to also give Vim a try, or Emacs, or Sublime, or VS Code. Just go on their landing pages. The one from Vim is especially funny. Check them out, make a decision. But also, if you feel overwhelmed, don't worry, just stick with VS Code. It's also fine. VS Code is a great editor. Yeah. See you in the next one. Keep coding. Follow 10x Dev on Twitter, on YouTube, everywhere to become a better developer. And we'll see you tomorrow.
In the next code call.
Code call, yeah. Cold calling, code calls. Bye.
Bye-bye.